Hi, everyone. Today we're going to do exercise 26, rendering fabrics. So I'm going to start by showing you what we are supposed to do. And this is going to be a huge process. So I want you guys to set aside some time to finish this project. But we are creating 6 different fabric samples, and we are going to show different types of fabrics, and we are going to create those on Photoshop. So you're going to have a tweed, fur, stripes, denim, a herringbone, twill fabric pattern, and then a knit fabric pattern. So to do that, we're going to, let me start over. We're going to start with new file. And since we've always been doing print, it automatically gives me this custom, which is a regular print page, 8.5 inches by 11 with a 72 DPI. So if you see that here, you can always select this. I'm going to make this a horizontal orientation. And then you say create. Now, the first thing we need to do here is create our fabric swatch base. But let's just start another page here. And that can be a regular print page 72, but it doesn't have to be, it can be landscape. Now, first, we are going to create the edges. So we're going to make fabric edges. If you guys remember from my classes, we use the pinking shears for different things. So we're going to create that edge first and make those squares, and then we will fill those with our patterns that we create. Okay. So first, I want you to show the grid. So if you go to view and show, select grid, and it's going to give you the grid. Okay. Now, you can also have a ruler that shows you exactly how many inches each of those squares are. To do that, you go to Photoshop, Preferences, and find Units and Rulers. Right. So right under Units and Rulers, there's Guides, Grid, and Slices. Let's try this one. So we have a grid. So that means each of our grids are 1 inches, and the subdivisions are those divisions. We have 4 right now. On each square, you have 4 by 4. I'm going to make that 8. Okay, that way we have a much better grid. Okay, and it's showing that each of those squares are 1 inch. If I can find our rulers, let's just select this. Okay, now I can see my ruler here. It's showing my measurements. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, now here we are trying to create those pinked edges. And for that, I'm gonna select line and make sure it's on pixels. So we're going to go like that. My weight on the line is 1 pixels, but you can do 3 pixels if you want. But I'm going to go back on this. If you are on the grid and you're drawing, you start with the corner and go to that next corner. If it doesn't snap to the corners like that, what you can do is go to view. Under view, you go to snap to grid. That way your lines are going to snap to the grid. Another thing we need to do is we're going to have a new layer before we create that line. Okay, so I have a new layer and I'm going to start. And you can see it easily sticks to the corner because I said snap to grid. It just makes it so much easier. Okay, so I am going to do this for about 3 of those squares. Like I said, this is going to be a long one. So I want you guys to take the time, and this has the most points. Okay, now I have my edge. So now I'm going to go, you can go select this, or you can go to the marquee tool and select this, but I'm going to see if I can do that. And I'm going to see if I can just copy and paste it. We're going to copy and we're going to paste it. Okay, so when you paste it, it automatically puts it as a separate layer. Now, I'm going to move this. Let's see. These are harder to move because it sticks to the grid still, it snaps. We're going to create the square with that, but let me flip this. So go to edit, transform, and rotate 90 degrees. Okay. Now, if you can move it, get it right here. Now I'm going to copy, paste one more. While I'm on this one, you can copy and then paste. Now this one, I'm going to also transform and rotate 90 degrees. Now I take this, these are a little hard to grab. You have to be on the line to grab it. Okay. Now I need one more, so I'm going to copy this, paste it. This one I probably need to transform, rotate 90 degrees, and grab the line and bring it here. Okay, now we have that square. Now I'm going to get rid of the grid. I don't want to see it anymore. And I would say just unselect, snap to grid. That way it's easier for you to move things around. And I'm going to unselect, show grid. Okay, now we have this. Now we have a couple layers. This layer is empty, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, so those are our 4 layers. I'm going to go here and I'm going to say merge visible. It's going to merge all of the layers together. And now let's just go to the bucket, select black background color, and we're going to go back to bucket. And make sure it's selecting the foreground. And we're going to make this black. Now we're going to go to our magic wand and click on this. That way it only selects that black. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to go to our page and paste it. Okay, so this is going to be our first fabric swatch. Now I'm going to copy paste this 6 times. It's already copied, so all you have to do is Command V or Control V, and it's going to paste. Okay, so all I'm doing is just pasting it over and over until I get 6. Now these are going to be my fabric swatches, and since this is a long process, I would recommend that you guys go ahead and save it as, just so you don't lose any of your work. This is Photoshop exercises, exercise 26, rendering fabrics. Okay. Now, one other thing I'm going to do is give them names so that we can fill the samples with that kind of fabric. So I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to type, this first one will be tweed. and you can always change. Even 30 is fine. Okay, and then let's change the color to this color. Copy paste this so I can use the same font and everything. So this one, we're going to render a fur fabric. And then this one is going to be stripes. And let's paste again. And we'll say denim. This one is going to be our denim fabric. And this one is going to be herringbone. If you guys remember this from the textiles class, this is a twill pattern. And we will do knit. Okay, so we have our foundation ready. So now what we need to do is go and try to make something that looks like a tweed. Okay, so now we're going to go, by the way, keep saving it so that you don't lose any of your work. Now I'm going to go open a new page, custom, which already comes with 72. So, and I'm going to show my grid and everything. Oh no, actually for this one, we don't need it because we're going to make the tweed first. So for the tweed, you can select your fabric, your color swatches. If you want to use pastels, let's do pastels for the tweed. Now we're going to go to the brush tool. Okay, we are in the brush tool. I have this kind of brush selected. I think I could do some tweed with this brush, but it's a little too large. So I'm gonna, yeah, this is probably a good size. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go with this kind of brush because remember, tweed fabrics have a lot of different colors and I want to do that. So I'm going to go select different colors and okay, I think we can try this. Let's just define this section as a pattern. Okay, I'll define this as a pattern. So I go and define pattern. And I'm going to call this tweed. Okay, now let's go back here. We're going to find this one, which is going to be one of our layers. So it might be layer 1. Yes, it's layer 1. And I'm going to go to my paint bucket. And instead of filling it with a foreground color, we're going to select pattern. We're going to select our tweed pattern that we just defined. And we're going to go in here and put it in. Okay, so now this is going to be our tweed. Now we're going to make the fur. The one thing I don't like about this, I think this is probably because our paint brush was a little too large. I'm going to try to do the same thing with smaller brushes and see what happens. So let's just go a little smaller here. Okay, let me try to select this as a pattern and see what happens. Okay. Define pattern. I'm gonna call this tweed 1 and go back here. Select our first layer. Yep, this is the one. It needs to select the entire object. Let me see if I can do that. Object selection. Okay, now let's go fill pattern. Yeah, that's much better. I like this much better. So this is going to be our tweed. Okay, now we're going to do fur. So for this one, you go to brush. You want to find a brush setting from here that looks like little fibers. I'm looking for more simple lines. I think this is a cool one. And I'm going to change the angle to 0. Okay, so it goes like that. The size is too big. We have to make the size much smaller. I feel like there should be a better one. I'm going to go download some more brushes. I feel like these would be cool. So I'm going to download this one. Soft grassy fields. I feel like this could be cool. Okay. And I'm going to download this one. And this one says natural materials. I'm going to download this one too, actually. So once you download these, all you have to do is it says there's no application set to open the document. So you have to choose the application and you have to make sure, my other screen, you have to make sure you go to applications and you select Photoshop. Okay, so it did one of those. I'll go back to this. I'm going to do the summer one. Photoshop. This is the leaves. Okay, let's go back here and see if we can find something. Ooh, this looks exactly like what we are looking for. I think our size is way too big, so let's make the size smaller. And I want to make my fur in a more brownish color so that it looks more like a fur. Okay, so I'm going to do that, like shades of brownish colors. Okay. We can always change the angle. Let's do some 45-degree ones. Okay, we'll just make a couple more so that you can see the fibers. All right, now I'm going to define my pattern. It's going to be my pattern. So I say define pattern and call it fur. Okay. And now we can go here. We're going to go to the right layer. I'm going to zoom into this so that you can see better. Okay, let's find this layer. I don't know which one it is. We're gonna select, well, first deselect whatever you have selected. All right, layer 2 is it. We're going to the paint bucket and we're going to select the pattern that we just made and we're gonna fill this in. Okay, so if you zoom out, it does look kind of like fur. All right, now let's do our stripes. For the stripes, we're going to open up a new page. And we're going to create some stripes. All we have to do for this is, and again, if you want your ruler and your grid, you can always go to view, show grid. That way you can see and create more straight lines. For this one, I'm going to go to the rectangle tool and I'm going to create a couple stripes. Okay, this one. Okay, I'm not necessarily so crazy about these colors, but I'm gonna get rid of that grid. So now we have something. I'm going to define this as a pattern. And I'm going to take a little more whites. And let's go and define pattern. I'll call it stripes. And now go to our main page, find the layer we are working on, and paint bucket, pattern, stripes, and fill. Okay, now we have our stripes. Now we're going to make denim. Cut. Okay. So we have it all disappeared. Now we're going to make our denim fabric. What I'm going to do for denim is I'm going to go to paint bucket. I'm going to find the blues, maybe a light blue color, this blue, and fill this up. Okay. Now we're going to create the twill pattern. Let's see if we can have the grid showing. Say grid, okay, it's pretty good. I'm gonna zoom that in. And we're going to make lines on this so we can go back to our line. And right now it's 1 pixel. I mean, you could change it to 2 pixels if you like. So what I'm gonna do is make these lines, but I need to select the darker blue color. So let's do this one. So we are making a twill pattern on this. Okay, we got this. Now let's get rid of the grid. And we're going to select this as a pattern. I'll call it denim. And now we go to our page. Which one is the next one? Here. We select that. We select pattern. We find our denim and go in. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of this denim at the moment. Maybe I need to make more lines here. Maybe it's because we zoomed in too much. One. Let's try this. Oh, wait, this is still the last one. Oh, a little bit better. Open a new page. We're gonna need our grid again. Okay. Now on my grid, I will make twill lines. And I want to make the twill lines to go in a herringbone design. So I'm using this. For this one, let's select this color of 2022. So you want to go like this. Again, let me zoom in on that. So the herringbone twill usually has diagonal lines going both in the right-hand direction and the left-hand direction. Select this section here copy, paste, and the pasted version, I'm going to go edit, transform, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Transform, rotate 90 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to bring it so that they both match here. Yeah, I don't like that line there. I don't know if I can get rid of that. I'm going to make those lines to close those gaps because we're going to define this as a pattern. I want to make sure it looks like a herringbone design. Okay, now I'm going to go select this. Define it as a pattern. I'll call it herringbone. And then we go here. We are on this, we're on the right sample. We go to paint bucket, select herringbone and fill it up. Perfect. So we have a herringbone pattern. Now the last one is a knit fabric. So I'm going to delete everything because they're all taking up some space here. And I'm going to select the ellipse tool. And this time I can do a shape. I wonder if I could do anything with the pencil tool, freeform pen tool. Let me try this and see if I can actually get this. So I want to make those loops. So we selected this with object selection. So we're gonna copy that, paste it. Okay, now we have it pasted. So now I'm going to go to transform 80 degrees. Okay, now I'm trying to create that loop. If you guys remember how we had loops like that, I'm going to copy paste another one. All right, now I'm going to merge visible so all of my patterns are just one together. And then I'm going to select. I define this as a pattern. I'm going to call it knit. Okay, and go here, go to the layer that we need. Okay, this is the correct one. I go to paint bucket, select the knit pattern and go in here. Okay, so it created my knit pattern here. We could probably play with this, make it a little bit better. Okay, define pattern. Knit 2. Go here. This is the right layer. Paint bucket pattern. Okay, I think it's a little bit better. So now we have a knit pattern. So we are done. We're just going to go and save. So we're done.